All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. I believe that's what it's called. And that, of course, is the one and only Kiss. And that, I believe, is from 1996 at the old Tiger Stadium in Detroit, shouted out loud. And if you were watching, you saw, of course, Gene Simmons. And if you were listening, you heard Gene Simmons and the rest of Kiss. And joining us right now is Gene Simmons of Kiss. Hello, sir.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Good. It's my pleasure to talk to you.
It's a delight to talk to me.
Well, I'm glad you said that. Well, first of all, you were just in my neck of the woods, I believe, out in Ridgewood, New Jersey. At Bookends. Well, it was Bookends. I don't know. I think you did something there earlier this afternoon, and I know you've been all over.
My right hand is just like about to fall off. We just signed for, 1,500 fans. Just bang, 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 one right after the other, and tried to make everybody happy. But that's what you do, right, Steve?
Well, you know what? I don't sign. I'm usually around 1,200 fans, so I'm a little below you. But you see what you just said. What you just said, and that speaks to the book. Of course, the publication of the book, Nothing to Lose, of course, The Making of Kiss, 1972 to 75, you and Paul Stanley. The fact that here we are, all these years later, and they're lining up, on an afternoon where people work and go to school, and 1,600 people are there, and you're signing autographs. What does that say to you?
They were more than that, but we just couldn't.
Right.
To get everybody, we're in the car now going to Staten Island.
Yep.
And we're going to be doing a signing there. A long time ago, and it's approaching 40 years since our first tour. A long time ago, we were, four knuckleheads off the street who had a dream to put together the band we never saw on stage. And, in those private moments when all of us pray, dear God, please give me a chance. If I ever get a chance, I'll never blow it and all that. So we promised ourselves we would never go, with our stacked heels, sort of highfalutin and thinking we're something special. Always make sure, anytime you meet a fan, hi, how are you? Thanks so much for coming down. Make them feel special, because at the end of the day, you, Steve, and us, Kiss, and anybody else that's on stage works for the fans, because without the fans, we're nothing.
Absolutely.
So that's really what it's about. And Nothing to Lose is sort of a historical overview of the band, the good, the bad, and sometimes the ugly, but not by us. Interviews by all sorts of people that were there. It's like at the scene of an accident. The person that's in the middle of the eye of the storm has one perspective, people around it have another. And it's stories and events and experiences of people that were actually instant along with us, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say, if you think you knew Kiss and you think you knew the genesis and the early days, I think it was Alice Cooper who was quoted as saying, you don't know anything until you read this book.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so that pretty much sums it. But can I just be honest with you? I've always taken.
You can lie like everybody
all
else.
right, well, I'm not going to lie. I've always taken great pride in seeing you perform and looking at you and hearing you speak. I'm a proud Jew, and I know you were born in Israel, and I know you just recently returned to Israel.
What's interesting is I'm a proud Irishman, I'm a proud Catholic, I'm a proud Jew. When aliens land on this planet, they're going to think we're morons, because to them we're all human beings.
Well, and I'm an American first, but you know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is your story, and I know that you've talked about your recent trip back to Israel, and I know that you supported George W. Bush, and we're like-minded politically on those kinds of issues. So that's what I'm saying here.
Well, in certain areas, I'm an American first. In certain areas, I will agree. Foreign policy, conservative fiscal program, I'm probably more on President Bush's side. I don't believe Democrats have done a good job of taking care of the economy. However, social areas and separation of church and state and gay rights and all that stuff, I have a problem with the right. So both parties hate me, and I'm not fond of either.
All right. Well, let me ask you this: if we could stray for just a little bit, what do you think of what's going on with Syria and the president's going to address the nation tonight? Will you watch something like that when he speaks tonight?
The more differences presidents think they are, the more alike they are. Because at the end of the day, every president has to defend America, and so here's a president that's been voted in by the masses, who's sending, unmanned drones across borders to do what he's supposed to do, which is to protect America. Presidents on the right and the left have done that. So Because you know what? Al-Qaeda doesn't care what party you're from. They just hate all of us.
That's right. Now, do you notice, I mean, do you watch MSNBC, Fox News? Do you find media bias? Do you find a difference? Is there something you like over the other?
I do. And if it wasn't for your show, Steve, there wouldn't be any fair and balanced news anywhere.
No, there really isn't any fair. Well, I'm paid to give an opinion, so I try to be, respectful to all my guests, except when it's impossible.
Well, one opinion you can't argue with is that Nothing to Lose is as good a book as there is. You can read it in your spare time when you sit on the pot. It's easy reading. You can pick it up and put it down at any point and never lose your place because it comes in snippets, if you see what I mean.
When it comes to Kiss, what was the key? If you could look back and say, this is what did it for us. This is what catapulted us to where we are, what we became, where we are now. What was it that might be in the book, might not be in the book, but what was that one thing or moment or person or deed or what?
It's a solid question, and here's the answer as best I can put it. Good old-fashioned hard work. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. When we started, there was no MTV or VH1. There were no CDs, no DVDs, no XYZ, PTA, IOUs, no letters put together to mean something. Nobody used to say RSVP. Nobody said ADD. Nobody talked about letters. This is before even cassettes. There were only records. There were albums and singles. And what we did is we took our case to the people the old-fashioned way, knocking on door after door and getting up on stage after stage and proving to people who and what we are. We earned our stripes. There's no television that just went, here's a free ride or here's a hit single. We didn't even do hit singles. So what made us big? The fans. How did we do it? Hard work. There's no easy answer. It's not like winning the lottery. We worked for it.
No, absolutely. Of course, we're talking to Gene Simmons of KISS here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Let me ask you about the football team that you guys bought, the L.A. KISS.
Yes.
And Tim Tebow. And see, to me, Tim Tebow is maligned. The sports media hate him. They despise him because he's a good American Christian who believes in what he says. And they hate him. Yet, if he, in my opinion, if he brought a prayer rug with him and he was a Muslim and he prayed on the field or on the sidelines 5 times during a game, the media would say, "Oh my God, this is great." But because he's a Christian, they despise him. But you guys have made him an offer as of yesterday, a 3-year contract.
We are proud to make Tim Tebow an offer. He is considering, and I will tell you, I don't think anybody's going to complain about this. Whether the NFL is making all the right moves or not, we're not here to do that. We would be proud to have Tebow on the team. Prefer to have somebody who has a strong sense of country and self than somebody who tortures dogs and is an alleged murderer. So those guys aren't good for football. Tebow is good for football. He works hard.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So have you gotten any indication yet, any answer from him, or do you know about what the timeline is?
I'm not allowed to say yet, sir.
Okay, and were you surprised that New England cut him?
No comment until Tebow is part of our team. But I will tell you that there are 4 owners. There's myself, the ever-youthful Paul Stanley, who's sitting right behind me, so I've got to be nice. Doc McGee, who handles our tours, and Brett Bushy, who's been intrinsically involved with arena football since its inception. And we intend to take this football and give it spectacle. There's no long downs, none of that stuff. This is much more in-your-face offensive football, and it's for the whole family. So for those of you that tuned in late, how about this? $99 for a season ticket.
Wow.
Go to, it's nothing. It's lakissfootball.com, lakissfootball.com. $99, and you can go to all the games. And because we're grateful that you even paid us attention, KISS, with its entire bombastic show, will give you a free concert to all season ticket holders. And listen,
I thought you were talking to me, that you were going to get because of my attention.
Yes, it's all about you, Steve. The NFL is great, but I don't want to mortgage my house to buy a ticket.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
There's stuff that goes on there, the fights and the thing and drunks and stuff like that. Go down to your air-conditioned arena, see great football, affordable for everybody. Bring your kids. Perfect place.
All right, now let me ask you one more question, and before I let you go, and one final word about the book after that. Miley Cyrus, when you see that, I don't know how you would feel about that. What did you think? What's your opinion on what she did and the reaction to it?
If you believe in equal treatment under the law, then everybody's picking on her for the wrong thing. Either you condemn all the divas for sticking their tongues out and kissing the girls on things or showing boob or anything like that, or Miley's allowed to be Miley. You can't pick on her if you're going to allow Rihanna and Shmiana and Madonna and any girl who ends with an A to do what they do, because she's doing nothing different than all the rest of them.
What was the tongue? I thought she was ripping you off. What were you trying to? That's
fine. Everybody, listen, I would be sticking my tongue out most of the time, but usually the floor's dirty, so I've got to watch. You know what I mean, Steve.
I do know what you mean. So you know how hard I tried to get you to say something politically provocative so we could get all over Drudge and all over everywhere. I'll give you one final instance here. Someone told me you voted for Obama and you said it was a mistake. Is that true?
I do. I wanted to vote on the right side of history. I voted for our president twice.
Why the second time? Gene, why the second time? That has nothing to do with history anymore.
Because, unfortunately, Governor Romney can't keep his foot out of his mouth. And part and parcel of being a world leader is being able to communicate. Ronald Reagan was a great communicator. And Governor Romney, although he was much more qualified than our president to be in the job, just couldn't put a sentence forward without turning everybody off.
Okay, if I had your email address, I would send you a compilation of Obama gaffes that the media will never go near. For instance, he's a big White Sox fan, right? He loves the White Sox. He's a South Side kid. He called it Comiskey Field instead of Comiskey Park. How could you make that mistake if you've ever heard of the White Sox? And the list goes on and on and on. He's as phony as a $2 bill, especially when it comes to sports.
Perhaps, but the masses win. The masses cast their vote for whatever reason. Look, people vote not just their conscience. They have a gut feeling about something. Few people know what the issues are, but
true.
Why you'd want to ask some guy that plays in a band what he thinks about politics is beyond me.
Well, because I think you have your head on straight. Hey, listen, it's been a pleasure and an honor, and the book, again, is Nothing to Lose, The Making of KISS, 1972 to 1975, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. Thank you, sir. Really, I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Take care. All right, folks, there you go. We do everything on this show. Whether it's KISS or whether it's, a senator or a governor or whatever, when we're going to continue. I'd love for you to weigh in on this interview. I had fun. I'd like to hear it back again, actually. 855-777-9660. But tell me, when he started saying, and because of your interest in the team, we're going to give you, and I'm thinking he's going to send me something. No, he's talking about the fans, the concert that they're going to have for season ticket holders out in L.A. That's a good deal. $99 season tickets, and you get a KISS concert to boot? Wow. Okay, but the book, Nothing to Lose.